Welcome everybody to our City Council meeting. Today is June 7th, 2022. The time is 7:01. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could you please remain standing for a moment of silence for our first responders and military members? Thank you. Monica, could we get a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Present.
Councilmember Moran?
Present.
Councilmember King?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia? Mayor Aguilar?
Present.
For the record, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia is not in attendance, but his absence is excused.
Thank you. In regards to closed session announcements, we'll be having our closed session after our regular council meeting, and we'll be reporting back afterwards. Council, any changes to the agenda? I have one. In regards to item number 14, we have some members here that are supporting this item, and I know they just came from working, and they would, in appreciation of their time and their advocacy for the community, we would like to move it up closer to discuss that item. So I would like to move it up to right after awards presentations and proclamations, if the council's okay with that. Item 14, yeah. So we're good? Yeah? Perfect. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our citizen comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by myself, should come forward and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the council as each item is brought up for discussion. Do we have any citizen comments at this time?
Okay, I got it. Alrighty, so good evening. My name is Bao, and I'm a program manager for a local nonprofit organization called the California Health Collaborative. And our mission is to promote health and wellness, cultivate that in the communities that we serve. We're just here, myself and colleagues and youth, just to share some progress that we've been doing here in the city. We just recently hosted a town hall meeting where we've had a discussion on tobacco and vaping and its impact on young people and the tobacco retail environment and how that impacts young people. And so that was great. And then with that, we're also working on a video project. And so we've been working with a local videographer who's been capturing some of the vaping issues young people are facing. And so tune into that. That should be coming out soon, hopefully in about a month. And then I just want to say, we're here, California Health Collaborative, here to support the city with any support that you all need. We're here. And so I will go ahead and pass it to my colleague, Solsi.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for taking your time to hear us today. My name is Solsi Zhang, Community Engagement Coordinator with the California Health Collaborative, and I specifically work with a youth coalition here in the city of Livingston. So every week we have a local youth coalition where we meet and discuss ideas and brainstorm strategies on how to have youth prevention surrounding tobacco and vaping in our own community. And this summer alone, we are happy to say that we are going to be sponsoring 6 Livingston High School students to go to our leadership camp, which will talk about leadership and the importance of advocacy in our own communities. And so we will continue. We have been advocating and supporting our youth here in the city for many years, and we are excited to continue that work that we're doing here for future years to come as well. So I will go ahead and pass it to one of our youth members, Hina, for her input. Thank you.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Hina Sahota. I'm a Livingston High School student and officer for Sikh Honors and Service Society Club at Livingston High. SHSS is a sub-chapter of Jakarta movement and aimed towards promoting and honoring service, leadership, and academic excellence amongst students. I'm here to speak about tobacco and vaping issues I've seen on and out of campus. Throughout my high school experience, I've seeing my peers talk and have such easy access to these products has been so common. It's been so common and glamorized that students are able to talk about drug usage with teachers in class and in front of teachers. Vaping has become such an issue on our campus that every time I walk into the school bathrooms, there's always a smell of vaping or marijuana. If this does not stop or if this does not change, our youth will be destroyed, using harmful substances and ending our future. Without our youth, there is no future. Therefore, we need a change. And I'd like to pass it on to Banpreet.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Banpreet Hare. I am here representing SHSS Club from Livingston High. We are here because we believe that nothing has been done by our city council regarding our issues with tobacco use and prevention. Our parents and community members voted for all you guys and into office, and we want you guys to take our concerns seriously. We have spoke about this issue in school board meetings as well, and we believe that the change begins at city council because you all are a great body of influence, and I would like to ask the City Council to support policy efforts towards tobacco prevention amongst our youth in order to have a healthier community. Thank you.
That concludes our public comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for speaking. Any other citizen comments at this time? Or anybody on the phone? Okay, I don't see any. We're going to go ahead and move on.
I have an
sorry.
email.
Okay.
This email is from Catherine Shield Rodriguez, and it states, who is currently performing the functions of Human Resource Coordinator? And 2 are copies of the public comments given to members of the City Council prior to being read out loud at council meetings. And I can respond to 2. I usually don't provide the council members with the public comment if I'm going to be reading it out loud. But if I'm not, then I do provide the public comments, a copy of the public comment to the council.
Thank you, Monica. Any other comments at this time? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our word presentations and proclamations. We have 3 tonight. We're going to go ahead and start with the first one as a presentation by myself to recognize the firefighters of Livingston Volunteer Fire Company. We just started with a tradition of recognizing community members that are involved in the community as a whole. And today we're recognizing the Livingston Volunteer Company. I'm sure the council is, have a lot of things good to say about these group of men and women. For myself, I just want to recognize them and tell them that we appreciate all the efforts you guys make throughout the years. I know a lot of you have been members for a long time. We appreciate you guys showing up to a lot of the community service events, responding to calls, and just being available, a resource and a asset to the community and to the city of Livingston. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the certificate real quick, and I'll let the rest of the council say any words. The certificate reads, in recognition for the efforts, contributions, and community service to the community of Livingston. We appreciate your hard work you do by responding to fighting fires, responding to medical emergencies, vehicle accidents, and all the calls. Since 1911, the Livingston Fire Department has been a pillar to our city. The Livingston Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and staff recognize the Livingston Volunteer Firefighters for their invaluable volunteer service and contribution to the community. And just as whole, as a department working with Cal Fire, Merced County Fire, I think we work closely together, and we make our city better. So the City Council, myself as a mayor, we appreciate everything everybody does. and looking forward to continue working with you guys. I know there's a lot of things to address, a lot of things to talk about, to build a good department for the future. And we can't do it without working together. Council, any other words before I hand out these certificates of the gentlemen that are here present?
I just want to say thank you guys for all the hard work you guys do.
Likewise, not everybody volunteers in different organizations around the community, but what you guys do, not only volunteering, but actually putting yourself in the middle of different situations, and often very dangerous situations. Throughout town, I seen when some of the calls go out, and some of you arrive to different calls and make yourself available for whatever is needed. I wish we had more people like yourselves being able and willing to volunteer and participate alongside you guys. Thank you.
Again, I just want to reiterate what everybody else is saying. Thank you for having us under your care, under your watchful and dutiful work that you do for the city of Livingston. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna name the guys that are here tonight, and just please come forward. I'll be giving you guys a certificate. David Bates, Glendon Cohen, Kenny Abelo, Mike Hernandez, Alec Hernandez, Jose Flores, and Tony Nees. Am I missing anybody else? All right, going to go ahead and move on to presentation by myself, recognizing Madeline Moreno, Miss Independence Teen Council. Also present, we have Miss Independence, have been for 4 years, Genevieve Bautista, and Miss Independence, or Junior Miss Independence for 2 years, Isabella Raya. So I'm going to go ahead and read the certificate for Madeline Moreno. It reads, in recognition of your 3 years of dedication to serving our veterans and the community, the Livingston Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and staff recognize you for your contribution to the community. And for myself, obviously I've seen you in many of the community events, advocating for veterans, participating. So we appreciate all your efforts you do out there. I'll give council an opportunity to say any words.
I think all of you are also doing something great, being an example for other young ladies out there in the community, and not only volunteering in representing Miss Independence, but also with a lot of different other organizations that I've seen some of your work. Thank you for what you guys do and for being an example for other young ladies out there.
Maria?
It's been my pleasure to work with all 3 of you, and this year Madeline Moreno will be going off. She is a senior, and she has been working very, very hard. Maybe at an opportunity later she can tell a little bit about herself and what she has done for the community, because it's super exciting. And I just want to thank all of you for volunteering your time for the community, especially the work that you do for our Livingston Veterans Post and Auxiliary. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Come up to get your certificate. Okay, we have one more presentation by myself. This is recognizing Linda Duran from the UFW Foundation Advocate. So I got the opportunity to work with Linda closely on a few projects here in our community. So it was very important for me to recognize her. She's been out advocating with our farm workers on the fields, educating, providing resources. So being a community full of farm workers and hardworking people, we really wanted to recognize her of all the great effort she's doing. She was able to actually collaborate with me and create a little fair where we were able to feed people, but also provide them with a lot of resources, a lot of protective gear that they could use while working. So, I'm very proud of your work you're doing here in Livingston, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and read the certificate real quick. And it reads, in recognition of your hard work and ongoing efforts to help and support a vulnerable population of hardworking farm, field, and agriculture workers. The Livingston Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and staff recognize you for your contribution to the community. It also reads that you've been working with local churches, the Mexican-American community in Livingston, and we're very appreciative of that, and we look forward to continue working with you and the UFW Foundation, okay? So I'm gonna give the opportunity for the council to say a few comments as well. Any council members?
Once again, one of the first times that I had an opportunity to support one of the projects for the foundation was a few months ago, actually quite some time ago, with the food box drive and giveaway at the Memorial Park. And I remember that the first event that they had there, they were having a hard time and struggling with volunteers. And at the end of the day, we ended up, there was a lot of volunteers that day. And then after that, that was a trendsetter for the future events. And so it's always appreciated by, not only by myself, but also by the community members for all the work that your foundation has done in the city of Livingston and in the surrounding communities. Thank you.
Marie, anybody else, council?
Again, thank you for providing resources to our city and throughout the Merced County with all the work that you've done and everything that you have provided to our citizens.
All right, Linda Duran, can you come up and get your certificate?
Susana Hernandez.
All right, thank you everybody for being patient. We're gonna go ahead and move on to item number 14, which we moved up. Item number 14 is a discussion and direction on street renaming to Cesar Chavez project. First of all, I want to just say thank you to the UFW Foundation for being here and supporting this item tonight. So I brought this item up for discussion and direction or action regarding renaming one of our streets after Cesar Chavez. The reason I brought this item up, there's a long-standing history and connection with the Cesar Chavez and civil rights movement, where he would come through here on the many marches. There was actually a UFW house here. Surrounding agriculture and farms were part of the union back in the day. So I still talk to people that live here in town that remember him coming through here. And knowing that our community is largely comprised of our farm workers and agriculture workers, field workers. We're now at a second and third generation also, where we remember our grandparents and our parents that worked out in the fields. I think it would be important to have a street named after Cesar Chavez, to be able to honor that, to remember, and to honor not only him and his legacy, but also the many people that work out in the fields and benefited from all those civil rights advocacy he conducted, he did. So that's something that I would like the council to really support me in, consider. I know one of the streets we have identified possibly will be the Campbell, or part of the Campbell Boulevard, where there's no businesses at this time, so the process will be, I would say probably easier. So I want to know what the rest of the council, and I'll give an opportunity for the public to also, say their opinion on this matter. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the council if you guys have any thoughts. Councilmember King?
Yes, I support this idea. I think it's a great idea. We need to recognize him by naming a street.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Jose Moran?
I think naming or changing the name of a street to someone that has done something not only for Livingston, but for the entire country. It's great. And also along the way, be able to see if, are you talking about the west side, the west portion of Campbell from Maine, or the east side of Campbell, where at the moment, on one of those sections, there are some businesses, but I don't know if they have that address. So I think it would be important to also, get the feedback from the residents to be able to support this and anything else, and also see if probably right now will be probably the best time because there will be less cost associated with any changes for the city and or residents or businesses, if any.
Councilmember Maria Soto.
I think it's a beautiful idea to honor such a man and of course his wife that helped lead and move forward many generations of people in our area and for all the Hispanic communities. I don't know the processes of renaming a street, and again, I am not opposed to the idea. I think it's a wonderful idea, but again, I think there needs to be a conversation on how we move forward and the processes, because I think this would also lead to other renaming of streets so that people have more clarity on how we would approach this item moving forward. If there's no problem, I mean, again, I'm in support of it. I'm very proud to know of all the advocacy that was behind the marching that went through California, and every year we celebrate Cesar Chavez. Well, every day we celebrate. But again, just a little background on how to approach this and how this can be mitigated moving forward, because once we enact something like this, there'll be plenty more ideas coming forward. So without a clear-cut way to go about this, I think we just need a little bit more on how the process would look and moving forward.
Thank you. And so we did have a discussion, or had a discussion with our city attorney's office. Tom, you want to just speak on what the process?
Sure. Actually, there's really no process like we would have to do related to streets and highways on other things for just renaming. So that part's easy. I did mention the practical issues, with the businesses. Some cities have, policies on doing this, naming streets and other things before they do it. But other than that, it's pretty wide open to the council's discretion.
Thank you. I'll give Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. We're discussing the renaming of a street for Cesar Chavez. I don't know if you have any comments on this at this time, or would you be a supporter? Would be able to support?
No, yeah, I would support it. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, sir. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and take it out for any public comment regarding this item.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Aguilar. I'm here with representing UFW Foundation and UFW. I am an organizer in Fresno County, but now I've been working in Merced County for at least 2 years with different agencies, advocating and finding ways and networking with other agencies, and now with council members. Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here today. Like I said, we do the one-on-one with our farm workers. We are listening to their stories. I feel that driving over here and talking with our farm workers, we feel that renaming a street in a very rural area like Livingston would be amazing because these stories that are unheard, the stories of our people who continue to have fear in the community. We have the Cal Fire here today, and we were here the day of the workshop. Let me tell you that there's a lot of people in our community who, because of being undocumented, we have fear sometimes of reaching out for resources, questions that we may have. You know, living in a rural area and doing the one-on-one out there, you know, in these harvesting different communities who feed America. This boulevard will help bring more advocacy, agencies, resources, book fairs, different agencies that can come together and offer these resources that they have available to our community on the weekends, our community who works very hard Monday through Friday and are not able to come down to the city to get their resources or their stories heard of dealing with unemployment, deaths in the family due to the pandemic. Many of us suffered different deaths in our families, but because our farm workers, their stories, their children who are the future of this country, the future of America, they need help, they need support. So this is why today also we have the manager of the migrant program community here present with us. Thank you so much, Senor, for being here, doing this advocacy, doing the one-on-one, walking the streets in rural areas. It has been an honor to meet him, meet our farm workers, meet Doña Selene, who is our farm worker here in the back, who supports the community, who do things in their churches, who do things, house meetings, block parties, but those stories are not heard. And doing those stories in a boulevard for Cesar Chavez will be amazing because these stories will be told with the rest of the community to listen. I would like to give the opportunity to some of our members who are here today. Doña Lourdes, she is a UFW and UFW Foundation, and it's an honor for me to work with her and learn from her.
Buenas tardes. Si me puedes traducir un poquito.
Claro que sí. I'm gonna
Buenas
translate
tardes. Mi nombre es Lourdes Cárdenas, campesina.
Her name is Lourdes Cárdenas, and she is a farm worker.
Es muy buena iniciativa tomar eso, que le pongan un nombre a la calle de César Chávez para que sepan nuestras nuevas generaciones.
It's a good idea to name a boulevard under Cesar Chavez for our new generations.
Para que se enteren del sacrificio y el legado que nos ha dejado César Chávez, que seguimos luchando por beneficios y derechos del campesino marginado.
Okay, that was amazing. She said because it would be amazing for the new generations to have this information of the legacy that he left behind and the movement of fighting for labor rights.
Sí se puede, gracias.
Y sí se puede. Dona Asunción, por favor.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Asunción Ponce. Para mí es un orgullo que el bulevar lleve el nombre de César Chávez en recordación a su legado y todos nosotros los campesinos que hemos luchado por el bien de este estado y de este país, ¿verdad? Y sí se puede, gracias.
In his words, it's an honor to renaming a street under Cesar Chavez for that legacy that he left behind and for all those years that they have been fighting this movement. ¿Alguien más gusta decir unas palabras? Doña Selene? Ahorita es de la calle César Chávez. ¿Quiere decir algo? Okay. She is a member here of Livingston. She lives in Atwater, I'm sorry, but she comes down to Livingston because her church is down the street. Okay. ¿Algunas palabras?
Ya es todo, que estoy de acuerdo que me gustaría mucho tener la calle de César Chávez.
That she just wants to continue to support, and her church will also support for the Cesar Chavez Boulevard. We would like to present to the mayor a small item, but it's very useful in the fields for farm workers. Es un pañuelo. I don't know how to say that name in English, but it's un pañuelo. Pásale, she came all the way from Fowler, California. She is a mother of 3 children, single mom, and I'm very proud of her. She came out on Univision and Telemundo to say her story for Mother's Day 2022. Pase, por favor. And with UFW and UFW Foundation during the pandemic and serving farm workers 250,000 hot meals, $23 million in monetary assistance, 157,000 masks and hand sanitizers over 2 years. I would like to say that we will also bring these services to the Livingston community because these rural areas need our support and we need all you council members. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any other citizen comments on this item? Anybody on the phone? All right, so I'll bring it back to council for any other questions or comments. So Tom, just to clarify, so if pretty much we don't have a policy or anything else, but if we give, the council's in agreement, we could give that direction.
Give direction to staff. to
Okay,
come back
of course,
with
they will
items
check
to
off
rename
with,
the street.
they'll check off with businesses and make those efforts
And then eventually come back with an item to rename the street.
to rename the street. Okay. Are you guys okay with that?
Can I add
Yeah.
something real quick?
Go ahead.
As I was listening to some of my fellow council members and yes, this being probably the first time in a long time that something like this comes up and renaming a section of a street or highway or boulevard or already in the city, probably others will be interested because there's a lot of people that have done great things in this country, and in the Central Valley and in Livingston. Also, probably one of the things that we can also consider is, since we are having future subdivisions, why not consider a section of a subdivision that might have 3 or 4 or 5 streets and use that opportunity to name those streets or courts or roads for some of the people that have done great things for this community, because alongside with the Mexican American community, we had great people that have done great things from different communities, from the Portuguese community, from the Indian communities, from the Japanese communities. And I think, that could also be taken into consideration. And if not in this situation, just see how we can take advantage of those new subdivisions coming into town and work with them to be able to, when the opportunity to name those streets or roads or courts, this becomes part of that conversation as well.
Thank you. I think we have gone that route for some streets. I know there's some subdivisions where there are some streets named after some veterans. And that's, definitely a process when in the future there's other streets to rename, work with those housing elements. I think there's more specific to, but I think we have, Vanessa, you feel comfortable with the direction we've given you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. Back to announcements and reports. City staff announcements and reports.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members. We have a report from our fire department.
Good evening, everyone. Just a little update for the month of May, another busy month, 188 calls for the station 96. 99 of those calls were city calls. To those calls, we had 81 PCF responses for 43% response rate. Year to date, 922 calls, and we're still above 7% average over last year. We are finishing the school inspections in the city, and then we'll move into weed abatement for the city. Any questions?
Any questions, council? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Vanessa?
No other reports tonight.
Sounds good. We're going to go ahead and move on to city manager announcements and reports.
Yes, Mayor, really quick, as we head into the hot summer months, the Merced County Office of Emergency Services, they put together a list of all of the cooling centers around the cities in the county. And I just wanted to share that the Livingston Police Department It is our designated cooling area here in the city, and that is located at 1446 C Street. And it is open through Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There is a guideline of what it would take in order for the city to be activated or for this cooling center to be activated. That is that will be uploaded on our website, but normally it's any time the forecast is above 105 degrees for one day or more. So, I'm sorry, 3 days or longer. So our cooling centers will be activated.
That information, is that information on our social media sites and website?
We can definitely put this information out in our social media, and it will be available on our website too.
Is that information also translated like to Spanish or Punjabi or any other languages?
We will, we can definitely, I will reach out. And
Maybe not the full document, but maybe just a
absolutely, we can do
blur.
a brief message, absolutely.
Awesome, thank you. All right, any questions for the city manager, council?
Actually, and I'm not sure, but probably since this is the area for city staff reports and departments, probably, I was wondering, they're not here today, but I was wondering maybe you can forward that message in regards to, I noticed a couple of parks being water at 8 a.m. I'm not sure if that's the regular schedule or if is it just one park in particular or two parks in particular. But now that we have summer here, it might be a good idea to consider watering earlier or at night instead of 8 a.m. because sometimes we have older folks that are attending or coming to the park at 8 a.m. sometimes, or they're just walking or jogging or, so it would help not having wet sidewalks. And, also, and I don't know if they do this regularly or once a year or twice a year or as needed, if Public Works can check the sprinkler system, because sometimes there might be a sprinkler that is broken, that it's not working, or a broken pipe, that they won't be able to know because of the watering hours unless someone sees it and lets them know. So, but if we do a routine check, I don't know, once a month or twice a month or something like that, or once every 2 months, we can find those broken sprinklers that no one knows about.
Thank you, Councilmember Morano. We'll follow up with our Public Works Department on that.
Council, any other questions for Vanessa? I just real quick, I know I shot a bunch of emails your way in the past week or so, but I do want to just express some of the things, or at least update the public in a couple of things. I know I've had a lot of questions, or people have asked about when we're going to finish the street signage, and so we got an update. Vanessa was able to provide an update. You just want to provide that real quick?
Yes, and Mayor, our Public Works Department is getting ready to, they have a schedule on the 21st to do an update on all of these
on all of
items.
this stuff? Perfect.
I know that they are working on striping and they are working on crosswalk items around the city. However, they're scheduling all of these items to be completed within this week or next week. So they share with me that they will be providing an update on all of these projects on the 21st.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I know that people asked about that and the crosswalk on Dwight and Walnut, and definitely in the next few days, people will be seeing completion of those projects. I know there have been some complaints regarding some landscaping on the new development or new housing on Hammett, past Walnut. I know we had hired or contracted with a landscaping company. And are they still active at this time?
The landscaping company is still active. However, we're going through the process of an RFP. But landscaping, it's only being done in certain districts or areas of the district. It's not full, it doesn't cover each one of the landscaping areas for the city.
Okay. So, if, I know Public Works is a busy department, but if they could take a drive down Hammett, past Walnut, and that new development, I know that the landscaping needs to be looked at or addressed, please. Any updates regarding the Prop 68?
With the Prop 68 grant, Mayor, we are in the process of closing escrow for the property. That should be taking place at the end of this week. And we have put together a reviewing committee that it's made up of the original of the grant, the people that participated in helping the city write the grant. We've requested their help, and they will be reviewing and helping us assess, evaluate the proposals that we have received for project management, and they will be coming forward with a recommendation. We're hoping within the next 2 weeks or so we can have this item back to council for a project manager, and we can start moving forward with the building of the recreation center. But as of this week, closing of escrow will be taking place by the end of the week.
Awesome. Regarding our budget workshops, are we expecting those starting later this month or next month?
Yes, Mayor, we have unfortunately, we have been hit with a wave of new infections in our administration department from COVID, and it set us back with some of the tasks that we had on schedule. At the same time, we are going through some staffing shortages as well. So we're doing our best. We're trying to wrap up this budget and bring those workshops as soon as we can. But we are working through the unforeseen circumstances that not just our city faces, but it's still within. We're still within this environment of infections and pandemic and so forth.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm going to go ahead and move on to City Council member announcements and reports. Councilmember King?
Got nothing to report.
Councilmember Zamoran?
Yes. Very busy. The end of the school year, and next time I was thinking of coming over to the fire department, and since I see a lot of volunteers, maybe next year I can bring some of my homeworks that needs to be graded, and figure there's 10 of you guys, 12, and you guys can all help out to grade some of the homework for me. And right? Okay. Well. Okay. Oh, I forgot Mr. Flores. I was in Rosas. I was like, no, it's Rosas Flores. Now he's also a teacher, so he understands. All right. Well, it was great to have the Color Run participating as a volunteer, and something that I noticed that it was a little bit different this year with the Color Run. I noticed that there were a lot more families running and participating in the Color Run, which I think it was wonderful. I had the opportunity to work with 2 different stations at Arquillian Park. It was interesting because everybody that was there volunteering, they were all new, and nobody knew how to do it, or this was the first time participating, but it was very fun, running from one station to the other and making sure that everything was running smooth. And that's how I was able to notice a lot more families, parents with their kids participating in the Color Run. And so I think that was, that should be one of the goals, to encourage more kids to participate. Thank you, Jackie, and to your entire 20 people department, right, for job well done. I also participated in the, it's always great, this time of the year it's always great because we get to see a lot of our kids, especially our seniors that are graduating, to see what their plans are, where they're going, talking about their schools, their colleges, their scholarships, you know, and I had an opportunity to attend the college signing event for some of those seniors, and hearing, you know, where they're going, to Davis, to Berkeley, to Merced College, to UC Merced, and just, it's just great seeing our future in their hands. And, you know, hopefully someday they'll get to come back and give back to their communities and come back to their hometown. Graduation, there was a very busy week also with graduations. I believe the high school had, I believe it was 275 seniors graduating this year. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing just to think about 275 kids are going somewhere. Either they're going into a training school, either they're working, going into the workforce, or continuing their education. But that's 275 families that eventually, you know, will get to be part of this community and many other communities. And then, I don't know what I was thinking, to participate in Sober Grad, not knowing, and well, actually forgetting that I had to work the following day. But Sober Grad was great. There was a lot of prizes, a lot of organizations participating, and just doing our best to making something safe where our students could participate and celebrate with their siblings or with their classmates in a safe environment. And if you have not been to music at Memorial, I suggest you should make some time and stop on Mondays. Music at Memorial is great. I believe there are 3 more Mondays, 2 more? 2 more, that's it. So if you have not gotten a chance to stop at Memorial Park on Mondays for Music at the Park, do so. Everything starts at 7, and you will find me there grilling hot dogs for one of the school clubs that they used to fundraise. So hot dogs are only $3, $1 chips and $1 sodas. Just, if you don't want to eat anything, just come and donate $5, and you know, you're helping those kids too. I would like to encourage the residents to continue conserving water and thinking about where we are heading. And instead of watering your lawns for 8 or 10 or 12, 15 minutes, consider watering your lawns for 4 to 5 minutes. And then, you know, even if you do it twice a day, but at least you're not doing it for 15 minutes straight, where the water is just running down the sidewalk. You know, consider running 3 minutes, 4 minutes, depending on your lawn. Or if you need more information, you can always contact Public Works or the city. They might be able to give you some direction or some information on best practices to be able to conserve water. And this is a question for Vanessa. Is there an update in regards to the fireworks for the 4th of July? Oh, you haven't? We have? Okay, so we're going to wait. Okay. All right, so then we can wait on that. And that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Maria Soto.
I just want to thank the community for coming out on Memorial Day to honor our veterans. It was a very humbling and sad, actually, to hear taps. If you've ever heard taps being played, it really strikes you in your heart. But again, the VFW put on a very respectful memorial on Memorial Day, and I'm glad to see that our flags are still flying downtown. And on that note, June 14th, next Tuesday, is Flag Day. If any of our residents have any flags that are tattered or torn, please consider taking them down and either giving it to, handing them over to our VFW post or to Boy Scouts. They also dispose of our flags in a very respectful manner, and that ceremony will be held at the VFW Hall at 10 a.m. next Tuesday. So if you do have flags, please drop them by. You can, the VFW Hall on 7th Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
I don't have anything at this time, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go ahead to mayor's announcements and reports. I'll make it quick. Thanks to everybody who showed up and supported the color run. It was a great success as the one that we had a few years ago. A lot of people out there enjoying being able to go out after a couple of years of COVID. It was nice to see families, kids, everybody participating. Good turnout. So it was good participating and throwing color powder at everybody. It was nice seeing everybody out there. Looking forward to more events like that and continued color run for future years. Also, getting a lot of good feedback regarding music in the park. A lot of people have been enjoying that. I've been going out to Memorial Park, and I think it's very successful. I appreciate everybody that volunteers to make this a possibility. Jackie, Recreation Department, thank you so much. I want to congratulate all the grads from the middle school, promoting to go high school next year. All the grads from the high school, class of 2022, college grads from Livingston. So congratulations, City Council, myself, very proud of everybody for those accomplishments. Shout out to the fire department for their Fill the Boot event. It just happened. Good job, guys, going out there, and hopefully the event was successful. I was able to attend this past weekend the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Reno. A lot of advocacy with mayors across the nation, a lot of policy discussions regarding everything from water conservation to gun control policy in our country. So definitely a very, very rewarding conference. I'll be getting together with our city manager and other council members to discuss some of the things I learned and we could implement in our city and advocate for in our city. I was able to attend the Memorial Day ceremony at Memorial Park. It was nice to see people out there supporting, showing up, and I appreciate, obviously, all our service members that were lost. And I think that's pretty much it. Looking forward to other Centennial celebration events throughout the year. So everybody stay tuned. Check out our website, our recreation social media to see what other events are coming up. So we're going to go ahead and move on now to our consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine or non-controversial, will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the council or city manager request that specific items be removed. I know that we have some public comment regarding some of these items, so I'm going to allow Monica to read those public comments, and then we could make motion regarding the consent agenda.
These two comments are by Catherine Shield Rodriguez. The first comment is for item 7, and it states, according to the attachment labeled permitted units issued by affordability, the city has made little progress in moderate income housing and no progress in low and very low income housing. My question is, does the city already have enough land already within the city limits zone for low and very low housing? Or will the city need to annex more land into the city limits to do so? And if the city will need to annex more land to meet housing goals, what is the status of the discussion with the county about the lack of a current tax sharing agreement? And could you expand a little on what residential care facilities and single room occupancies are and where they can be located? Item 8, the staff report talks about the cost of intake and animal euthanasia and disposal. But when you look further into the agreement under scope of services, Part C, fees, there are additional services mentioned, but no dollar amount listed for those additional services. What are the dollar amounts the county will charge the city for things like rabies quarantine, daily boarding fees, and any of the other services listed in the county fee schedule?
Thank you for those public comments. I don't know if anybody, do you want to tackle that or you want to prepare? I know there was a lot of questions. Do we want to get back to them? Maybe shoot them an email? Would that be more appropriate, or do we have anybody ready to address some of that?
Yes, not in regards to public comments right now or the consent agenda items, but I've been made aware, and I just wanted the council to know that our network is down and our streaming was not working, the YouTube streaming. However, there is the second item, the second backup recording, and our IT technician will be uploading this, the video of our meeting afterwards.
Okay, so it is being recorded though with our backup?
That is correct, and Mike can give us a thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay. In regards to public comment, do you want to just, maybe I know it's a lengthy question, a lot of questions. Do you want to?
We've shared the questions, and we have our
Thank you.
city planner here to help us with some of this, the items that were asked in regards to item 7.
Thank you.
And within our item number 8, our interim police chief can elaborate on the questions for the charges as well.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Monica? Oh, I think.
You want me to read them?
So I'm not, again, Mayor, members of the council, John Anderson, JB Anderson Planning, contract planner with the City of Livingston. We did receive the email today from Catherine Schell. There are a number of different ways that we can respond to this. I think we need to respond to it in writing, obviously. The city will be going through a housing element update as part of the next cycle. We're working with Merced COG now to make assignments for what is the appropriate assignment of affordable housing units within this community. And that report will be much more exhaustive this cycle than it's been in the past. I think some of our questions related to expansion of the city boundaries to accommodate some of these types of affordable housing obligations. It's likely that we will. However, as the council is aware, that there have been a number of projects that have been approved, apartment projects that have been approved for both affordable apartments, designated affordable, as well as market rate of apartments. So there are a number of opportunities that have been captured in this annual report that we're giving back to the state. There's more work to be done, obviously, and certainly more work that's going to be done as part of the next housing cycle that we're working on in this moment. So that's probably about the only response I can give to you folks tonight against an email we got later on this afternoon.
Thank you so much. All right, council will bring it back for any motions.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mayor, we have the question for.
Oh, yes, right. Item number 8.
Item number 8.
Thank you, Chief.
So in response to the question about the fees, you're looking at the animal services contract. If you go to the page after section C where it talks about compensation, it talks about the city agrees to pay county, and it lists itemized what the city will pay for the county in different circumstances involving animals.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Just real quick, if I may.
Yes, go
Vanessa, and I don't know what the council thinks, but what I like to do is, or what I like to ask is, like, whenever we have questions that come via email that are not asked or that are not answered here during the meeting, that at least for me, but I think it would be useful that everyone in the council has a blind copy of those responses, so that everyone is aware of what the responses or the answers were, so that everyone is in the loop. But at least I'd like to have that for myself, and if anybody else wishes to have that as well, then, you know. But I think that way everybody's in the loop in regards to and aware of any responses to any questions that are being responded on email.
All right, council, in regards to the consent calendar, any motions?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Oh,
I'm sorry, Council, I think we had talked with our city attorney, item number 8. It is a contract with Merced County Sheriff's Office, and following suit with the previous action, we were going, Tom was going to ask that we have our vice mayor recuse.
So I'll go ahead and, so my motion has to die now, right?
yes.
Okay, and then.
Okay, so he doesn't leave.
I motion to approve.
A motion by Councilmember Jose Moran,
I'll second that.
second by Councilmember King. Monica?
Well,
Oh.
I got a question.
Yes.
My motion has to die first. And
So
then,
So a motion dies due to any second.
okay, so can I make the motion to approve 4, 5, and 6, and 7?
Yes.
So I'll do that.
I'll second that.
We'll be separating that. So we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. We have a second by Councilmember King. Monica?
Give me a minute. Okay. Roll call, Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
All right, well, so we'll be taking item number 8 separately. Council? Any motions?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Councilmember King,
Second.
second by Councilmember Jose Moran. Monica?
Roll call, Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you so much. Before we tackle the,
She didn't ask me, but my answer was yes.
oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. So for the record, Councilmember King says yes. All right, before we get to the public hearings, to respect the time of the firefighters here present tonight, Council, are you guys okay with moving item number 15 and 16 next? Are you guys okay with that, Council? Yes? Yes? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go for item number 15, which is discussion and direction on Fire Department Commission. So this item, I know, has been brought up several times and discussed, or at least brought up to council. So a little background on that. This is actually something that we talked about, myself and our city manager, months ago. I think the purpose of this commission, and just to go even a little further, for myself, I've been obviously a big advocate for the fire department. It's no secret. I think there's historically a lack of advocacy and attention to the fire department in our city. It's always been like, oh, it's the county's department. Oh, it's the city's department. So it's been in limbo for, sometimes it feels that way, So to me, I had these discussions with our city manager, and something that, came up, or an idea that came up, was to have a fire commission. I think it's a good idea. I know that, there's pros and cons like everything else, but this will be another avenue to advocate for the fire service in our city. I think we all are in agreement that, we need to plan for the future, establish a foundation for our fire department, set goals, and really, brainstorm to see where the department's gonna head, where we're gonna go, where's the, plan, because that has been lacking here in our city for a very long time. And this tool, the commission, will be something that we could use as an advocacy avenue to advocate for the needs of the fire service to the city and to the community. So I think it's a good idea. As I've talked to many of you guys in the fire service, it's not a way of making it a political thing. It really is just a tool to use to advocate for the needs of the fire service, plain and simple. We've done some research in other cities, other communities that use this, and it seems to be a positive thing. It could be comprised of members from, CAL FIRE, Merced County, the volunteer company, council, or the community. The makeup could be discussed and really research to see what the makeup would be. Just to summarize, like I said, I think one of the departments here in our city where the tension from the council and City Hall has lacked is the fire department. Like I said, we need a foundation, we need infrastructure. There's a lot of needs. Eventually, I think our partnership with CAL FIRE Merced County is good. It works. But we need to start thinking of the future, 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. Where are we going to be at? Where's the fire department going to be at? How big the city's going to be? And I think this is really a platform where some of those discussions could happen, make recommendations to City Hall and to the council. Another tool to educate the council. A lot of people don't understand the complexities of how this department is configured with, the county, CAL FIRE, the volunteer company, all in one. The city, there's the City of Livingston Fire Department too. So, there's a lot of things to address. Even what's on the website in regards to the actual description of what the fire department is needs to be looked at. So this is another tool that maybe this commission could work towards really defining what the department is and what the goals are. So that's why I've been, we talked with Vanessa, and I know she actually brought this up, and I think it's a good idea. I mean, I've been bouncing off some of you. Like I said, I know there's pros and cons. But I think overall, I am advocating for it. I don't know if council has any questions or any ideas. And I don't want it to be something that it's like, oh, shoot, here we go, another meeting, every other week. It doesn't necessarily need to be like that. It could be a quarterly thing, or it could be, maybe as things arise that need to be addressed, it could be called upon, and people could get together and make that recommendation to City Hall or the council. So with that, council, do you guys have any comments, questions? Like I said, this is just a discussion item and direction. See if we'll hopefully hear from our fire personnel, see what their thoughts are, and if we're in agreement, maybe explore some of the options, how it would look like, and then bring it back to council in the near future. So council, do you guys have any questions or comments initially?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think it's great, and I wish that we didn't have to have a commission to get things done, when there's a need, there's a need. But I think something very important, is there going to be breakfast included?
At least once a year.
Okay.
$8.
Okay. No. Like, who would be, what's the idea? Who will be part of the commission, like 2 or 3 members, like?
So I think that's what research, so if we were to give kind of direction or an agreement that staff need to further research this and bring it back to council, I think that's something staff would need to touch bases with fire and see how it would be comprised, like how many members of what department, or how it would look like to make it happen. So I think I don't think we're talking initially details, but if there's an interest or an agreement by the council and fire to look at some examples of what other cities do, And if there's an interest, then staff would do some research of, or options and recommendations, bring it back to us.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, I'm all in favor. I think it's me being someone that does not, or that is in the process of learning how some of the departments work. You know, it would be great to get to learn a little bit more and work with, along, and plan. You know, and everything is about money. You know, so just gotta kind of be open-minded and kind of see what everybody thinks and just look for solutions. And I'm all for it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, I'm also in support of it, and maybe you guys need to just bring what you guys have and show it to us and how it's going to be ran and who's going to run it and all the details on that. So if you guys would have had it tonight, it would have been great. But always be ready.
Maria?
Through your advocacy, I heard a lot of pros in regards to what you're proposing. You did mention some cons. Other than the time commitment, what would that be? What would make this a bad idea?
The time commitment you said? Oh, what other cons you mean?
You said there were pros and cons towards
And that's,
this?
and you know, I would like to hear from fire personnel, see if what are their thoughts, if there's any any disagreements or non-accordance. So I would like, I feel like it's a good thing, but I would like to hear it.
I just, you mentioned that there's pros and cons, and I was just
I said,
wondering what makes
I'm
this a
sure
bad
they're
idea.
probably, not everybody's in agreement, or maybe not everybody's in agreement, but I would like to hear that, definitely. Okay, so we're gonna take it out for public comment. Any public comment? Or anybody from fire want to make a comment regarding this item? Not everybody at once.
I guess since nobody's really wanted to get up, I'll speak a little bit. Hi, my name is Jose Flores. I've been a firefighter here in the city of Livingston for 20 years. I've been very devoted to the city and this community. I've lived here my whole life, so something like this is something that's been talked about for a very long time. And I can tell you right now, like Juan mentioned, the relationship between CAL FIRE, Merced County Fire, and the city of Livingston has always been a good one. It's never been something that I want to say that, just like anything else, like Big Brother, we'll have our disagreements, but it's never been to the point where you have a department leave, because it's happened where in other communities where the fire department, the volunteer department will get up and just say, we're done. And I can show you news articles every month that show something like that happening. It's never happened here, and there's a reason for that. It's because we as a community work together really well. You guys were talking about the commission. I think the commission, if it comprised of part of the volunteer staff, some of the paid staff, and the community, and some of the council to kind of understand what the needs are for the department. I think that would be the best approach for this. Not just having the fire members, but the community, because a lot of the community don't understand the dynamics of our department. Because we have a lot, it's very, very broad, because we have our CAL FIRE staff who work for the state. We have our Merced County Fire counterparts, so they're our third party. The CAL FIRE gentlemen are our third party. They're state employees who are working for the Merced County, representing the Merced County Fire Department. And then you have the volunteers who work for Merced County. Like for me, you'll see I have two patches on this uniform. One says Merced County, and the other one says Livingston Fire. The Livingston Fire is representing the volunteer aspect of it, because there is a volunteer aspect to our department. Every time you see the fire department covering football games, covering the Sweet Potato Festival, the color run, that is us doing the volunteer work. We are not getting paid for that time. When you see us on emergencies, when we're at fires, stuff like that, we are getting paid at that point. At that point, we are firefighters. We're getting compensated for our time. But a lot of people don't understand that dynamic. So having all the parties involved working together to understand and see what the needs are for the future, I think would be a great start for meeting the needs of the city as it's growing, especially since we're going to get closer to one day needing 2.0 staffing, having additional personnel at our station, having an additional fire station. We're going to get to Atwater City here really quick. Atwater City has two fire stations, both duly staffed. We're working with one that's been here since, I want to say, since the department was almost developed. It's not really that old, but it feels like it. So our needs are there. It's just, I think, having everybody's input, having everybody who would be involved, the community, the volunteers, the paid staff, and the council all working together to figure out how do we meet those needs. So I think that would be a good start.
Thank you, sir. And you say a good point. This is not because there's a conflict or disagreement or we don't want the county here. It has nothing to do with that. It really has to do with working together and advocating for fire as a collected front, which has lacked for a very long time in regards to council and city hall. So this is more of a collaborative effort, working together to advocate. Like Jose said, I think I appreciate the relationship we have with Merced County, obviously, and Cal Fire, and it works. It definitely works. So, any other comments by the public or fire personnel? Anybody on the phone? The sheriff's department. Just kidding. Anybody? Oh. And I just want to remind everybody, very importantly, that the sheriff's department lost against the fire department in softball. What was the score? 11-9. Okay. So I think I'll bring it back to council. It sounds like I think the council is in agreement of exploring this option or exploring such commission. We talked about including, make sure, the volunteer side, the Merced County Cal Fire side, and council and the community is included in such a commission. The details about when they're going to meet or under what conditions, I think that's something that could be explored and researched, what the exact purpose is going to be. And I think that would be important for staff to kind of touch bases with the parties involved. But like I said, this I think is a good thing. I think it's a tool to advocate as a collective front. It's not because there's conflict or because we hate each other or because one department or one section of the department wants something over the other. And I think it will facilitate some transparency and some communication as well. So any other questions, council, or comments?
Just real quick, I do want to volunteer Mr. Flores for the commission. No, I'm just joking, but I'm pretty sure he'll be willing to participate. And I think something very important, this will be a good opportunity to educate others on how the fire department works and what's everything that is being done, that it gets done in there. So once it comes time for any other decision to be made so that people can better understand the reason why, the reason behind it. So more than anything, a good educational opportunity for everyone, including myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Vanessa, are you feel comfortable with that direction or information? Yeah. Yes, you're good?
We will do the research, we will sit down with all of the involved parties, and we'll bring a recommendation to council.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next fire item, which is discussion and direction on City of Livingston having their own fire chief. So I'll start this one as well. Once again, I want to make sure that this is has nothing to do with not having a second person. I know we've been advocating very hard and working very hard in the background to get that second person here. I know Vanessa has had recently a meeting with the CEO of Merced County, and I think that's still an urgent something, a priority to get a second body here. This is more of research that has been done years past. I know actually Councilmember Kane and the previous city manager, we took a field trip to Los Palos and Gustin to see how their department works in regards to having their own city fire chief or department head, and how they, because that was something that was being explored at the time. I wanted to bring it to council just for consideration and also hear from fire, because we did some work on it. We did look into it. So I want to make sure that things that were brought up to us or questions about things that were brought to us are at least given an opportunity to be brought up to council for discussion. And, once again, it's something that I believe Gustine and the city of Dos Palos do. They'll have their own city chief, their own department head. So I would also like to hear if council has any questions or comments. I know Councilmember King, like I said, accompanied me, myself and the previous city manager in regards to going and see how they do their how their departments ran, or how is the relationship with having their own fire chief, with the volunteer company, with Merced County. So it was interesting to learn. I think in order for this to work, we would need to have somebody that's very well qualified and meets all the criteria to play in or be effective in that role. Some of the pros I could think of is having somebody here in the city at all times, represent the city as a department head on a regular basis, some cost saving as well. That cost saving could be used towards the second body. And then also just in general, like infrastructure and planning for the future. Eventually we're gonna need our own department. Eventually we're gonna need more staffing. Eventually we're gonna need a second station. So it does play a role, and I do want to give it a chance, at least bring it up to council, because, like I said, that's something that was looked at in the past, at least a couple of years ago, if you recall.
About 2 years?
Yeah.
Have you done a follow-up? Do they still have that?
I think one city doesn't have. They both have it. No. Yes. Well, one city does, right? Gustine has it. Okay. Council, you guys have any initial questions? No?
Well, for me, it's just give me the information, because I really don't know much about it. Other than, the other council members doing that work a few years ago, I want to know everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the why, and the money, and short term, mid-term, and long term, what's best, something that will be best short term versus long term, and so I'm very open-minded, and I'm all ready to hear from everyone and anyone. So before that I can get to hear from the residents as well. So all information is welcome.
Thank you. And like I said, this is a discussion item. Definitely a lot of more information is needed to really obviously make a decision. I don't know, it's more of if it's worth looking into it, exploring it, having staff actually spend the time to work into it, what I mean?
So,
but I think, just real quick, I think obviously in order for staff to research, we have to touch base, staff would need to touch bases with, everybody to see what are their thoughts. This is more, it's really kind of just the basic, want to give it an opportunity since we did some work on it. So it's been brought up a few times. Just give an opportunity to see if it's worth having staff spend time and doing some more research, bringing answers to all your questions and all of that.
So there's one question actually that probably, and I'm not sure if anybody here will be able to answer this. As they were mentioning earlier, Gustine and Dos Palos had their own chief at one time. Now you guys are saying that only Gustine has. What changed in Dos Palos, or maybe that could be something relevant to, no? Mr. Flores?
The fire chief in Dos Palos became the city manager.
Oh.
So he's no longer in that role.
Okay.
He still does a lot of management and that, he's not the city manager.
So at this time, we'll go ahead and just open it up for public comment since Jose is up there.
Yeah, I wasn't really ready to speak today, but yeah, so Dwayne Jones was the fire marshal and the fire chief of the city of Los Palos. Now he's the city manager there. But he was fully qualified for the position. He was trained to be a fire chief and actually the fire marshal. So he was actually doing all the fire inspections and everything for the city regarding inspections, plan reviews, and stuff like that. And I believe he was also the building official for the city of Los Palos. So he wore multiple hats while he was there. And he was also what we call a PCF, or a paid call firefighter with Merced County Fire. So he had a vast knowledge in his role. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? And we went ahead and opened it up for public comment. Anybody else from the fire service or anybody want to make a comment regarding this item?
Council members, Mayor Mark Pimentel, Assistant Chief for Merced County Fire, Cal Fire. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. Just some of the items that you're talking about there. Just right now, you do have a fire chief. His name is Mike Van Lobensel's. He works for County Fire, and he does also works with Cal Fire. I'm the assistant chief, and then we do have a battalion chief that works in Merced County, which provides you your fire service in this area. Those two that you were speaking of was Gustine and Dos Palos. Dos Palos, when Dwayne went to work for the County of Merced, removed from that position, and they have not actually filled it over again. Due to the idea of that's an older model, that's where it kind of was done in the past, and they've kind of moved on from there. Currently, Pat Borelli holds the position in Gustine. He works very well with us, does more of the side of the inspections and looks over the facilities. The one thing that I do want to stress is that my main concern is to get additional staffing there here in the city of Livingston, and my concerns would be that you would focus more attention towards this and not getting more individuals in your stations to provide a service for your community. If you guys have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you. Council, any questions for our chief? And just to make clear, like I want to make sure that we're separating the two, because I think a strong advocate, and Vanessa knows this, we've been working towards getting that second person, and I think I like to think that we're very close to accomplishing that. The priority is still that, getting the second body. I understand the need for it, and I think it could only benefit the community more in our department. So I think that's still priority number one. But I do want, like I said, I do want to not give it a chance since it was worked on, and I know that's something that was brought up in the past, and like I said, I want to at least give it an opportunity and bring it up to us. It's only fair. But definitely, there's a lot of questions. A lot of questions that would need to be asked. Staff would, obviously touch bases with you and everybody else, and everybody, all the stakeholders, to really make a final recommendation to us. But no, I just want to make sure it's separate, because, that's still a priority to get that second body. I understand the need for it. And we've been working for the past, few years, and Vanessa knows how strong, she probably gets tired of me, but how much I advocate for it. But
well, if you don't mind, I could also add, I've been in this position for a year now, and I've worked diligently with yourself and Vanessa, and I have not seen nobody that's not supported anything that's been better for this city. So I do appreciate your support in moving forward, and maybe on my behalf, I would spend some time with the other council members and take some time to educate on what you have here in your fire service and how we can work together in improving it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Any other comments? Anybody? No.
Mr. Mayor, Council, David Bates, Fire Department. I think that this may kind of go hand in hand with the commission that we're looking at exploring, and maybe something that once that is in place and functioning fully, that may be something to explore a project for that commission to explore the possibility of achieve, unless there is a greater urgency than I'm seeing, that obviously there are several routes that we can go. The mayor's mentioned a couple of models, but there are actually quite a few others as well. So this may be one of those things that kind of go hand in hand with the previous discussion. So just a thought on that matter.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
My comment, not an answer. So regarding the fire chief, I don't know if the city needs a fire chief, but definitely would need a fire marshal. I'd say that would probably be a better step towards finding, putting that person into a position maybe in the future for fire chief. And the only reason I say that right now is we should have someone in the city no different from a code enforcement person that actually just takes care of our fire needs, does fire inspections, because with fire inspections, if they're doing operational permits, they're generating their own funding for their own program. If you're doing plan reviews, there's fees collected with that. That's what I would say would be the benefit for the city, someone that could be consistently there, taking that approach, and maybe also overseeing the budget of the fire department. And I'm not saying what goes to the county, I'm saying our budget here locally at the firehouse. When there's need for new fire equipment, that we have someone that's not a third party looking it over. We don't have someone from Merced County looking it over. We have a city employee looking over, hey, what is the best thing for our city? Not to say that the people that have been doing it right now, that their interest is the city. I don't want to show that or portray that. But having someone that actually works for the city to make those determinations, I think would be a benefit if they have that fire background. Someone that's qualified to make those determinations, to say, the city it's headed in this direction. We need, let's say, they find the need that we need a new engine for the fire station. Well, that person would put the proposal in, and then they'll work with their counterparts over in CAL FIRE to say, hey, maybe this is how we all fit it, because these are the guys who are doing the suppression and fighting the fires, and then they can work together. But then again, you'll have someone that's from the city that's actually overseeing the process that goes with that versus a third party or someone that isn't a city employee. That is the only recommendation for me. I think it would be a benefit and a step in the right direction to have someone that does that, because I don't believe there's anybody who's doing that currently. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we have someone looking at fire plan reviews in the city or doing operational permits.
Those items were previously done under the contract, but they moved from, in Merced County, there was a reorganization, and those processes were moved to the building department in Merced County.
Yeah.
So the actions or the tasks no longer, are part of the fire department.
So I say at this point, then that would probably be best. You're looking at a fire chief who's actually more the fire marshal, not so much the fire chief like the gentleman that was just speaking, because he would be the one that's in charge of all our suppression and making sure that the lives that need to be saved are being saved, versus the other person is looking at all the general, like if we have a special event, well, they're looking over the plants on that special event, making sure that we're up to code, stuff like that. Someone that's here, locally, and you guys have a direct contact with, that's your own. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. So it sounds like I think most people are in agreement with the commission, and maybe some of those questions could be brought up to such commission to explore. So, council, any other questions or comments?
For myself, I do like the idea that Mr. Bates brought forward. I think it would be a better use of everyone's time to be able to have the commission and then bring that, have that commission have the opportunity to play with that idea and then make some recommendations. So I would feel more comfortable going that route instead of having too many things on our plate right now. And in the meantime, it doesn't mean that we cannot do our homework. In the meantime, we can. I'll take you up on that meeting. June is better for me because before I go back to school. So But yes, the more, it will give me an opportunity to learn more about all the different areas, and then I can feel more prepared once it's time to follow up on this item again. But I would feel more comfortable if we make that recommendation to go with the commission first, and then work through the commission, and then come back around, and then also the other position as well through the commission.
Council, any other questions, comments? So as I stated previously, I think the consensus is, I think the commission will be an idea to explore, and then such questions could, be tasked to the commission for consideration. So we won't explore that at this time. And like I said, I appreciate just giving an opportunity, because it was work done and time spent on that. And like I said, I think this is separate than the priority of having a second body. And I don't know, Vanessa, if you have any updates on that.
We're working with the county. We're having conversations in regards to our staffing levels and the proposal that Chief Pimentel has submitted.
And Vanessa's well aware that that's one of the council's top priorities. But I think it's a good start to have the commission, and like I said, it'll be a good tool for advocacy, and I think it'll be a good benefit. So looking forward to having that item in the next council meeting. I'm joking. It might take a little bit longer. All right, guys, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. We're gonna go ahead and move on to, we're gonna go back to our public hearings.
You're more than welcome to stay.
Would I?
They're gonna go practice softball.
Are we doing 12 and 15 now?
We're doing 9, we're going back to the public hearings. 9, 10, and 11. So we're gonna go public hearing, item number 9, which is public hearing zoning text amendment number 2022-1, accessory dwelling unit ordinance. An ordinance to update the Livingston Municipal Code, LMC, to be consistent with California Government Code Section 65852.2 and 65858.22 related to accessory dwelling units. Who has this item?
Our city planner, J.B. Anderson.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. John Anderson, J.B. Anderson Land Use Planning. I'm sitting here tonight with Joshua Jordan, one of my assistant planners. We've worked collectively with Miguel Galvez and city staff to bring this item to you. Josh is going to be presenting the item, talking about the Planning Commission's discussion on it. In essence, this is an enactment of state law. Not much adjustments that we can make other than just clarifying its intent within our code, making it very clear for folks that want to pursue either an accessory dwelling unit or a junior accessory dwelling unit, and making sure that our code is consistent with state law and that we have the appropriate amount of documentation relative to setbacks. After having said that, I'll let Josh go through his presentation that he's got tonight. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us as we go through this.
Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, John. Good evening, members of the council, mayor. So the proposed zoning ordinance text amendment is a staff-initiated proposal to modify the Livingston Municipal Code to be consistent with the state law related to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. Some background: on August 20th, 2013, the City Council passed Ordinance number 607, amending the Livingston Municipal Code, Section 556, second residential units, to be consistent with state law concerning second residential units. This new state law is effective January 1st, 2020 and January 1st, 2021. And Senate Bill, Assembly Bill 3182 modified ADU and JADU laws and nullified the current second residential units ordinance. I'll go into the summary of the ordinance. The ordinance will amend section 522 residential use classifications to remove the definition of dwelling second unit and add dwelling unit accessory and dwelling unit junior accessory. It will amend Table 2 residential uses of section 5315 land use regulations, the zoning matrix, to remove dwelling second unit and add dwelling unit accessory, and add ADUs as a permitted use in the R3 and DTC zone districts, in addition to the permitted use in the RE, R1, and R2 zone district. Dwelling unit junior accessory is added as a new section to the matrix and is permitted use in the RE and R1 zone district. It will amend section 572, definitions of words and phrases, to remove the definition of second residential units and add definitions for accessory dwelling units, efficiency kitchen, junior accessory dwelling unit, living area, and public transit. And it will repeal section 556 in its entirety, second residential units, and substitute it with a new section 556 accessory dwelling units. The provisions of the new ADU section include the following: accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units are permitted by right in residential zoning districts, and ADUs do not count towards density requirements or in calculating maximum lot coverage. So the permitted location and types for the ADUs, up to one ADU and JDU may be established per lot with a proposed or existing single-family dwelling. ADUs may be established on lots with multifamily dwellings in one of two ways: one ADU and up to 25% of the existing units within non-livable space, or two detached ADUs. Some development standards for the ADUs. Attached ADUs shall not exceed 50% of the total existing or proposed living area of the primary dwelling unit, except that one bedroom attached ADU shall be allowed up to 850 square feet and 1,000 square feet for attached ADUs with more than one bedroom. And detached ADUs shall not exceed 1,200 square feet. Some more development standards: JADUs shall be constructed entirely within an existing or proposed dwelling and shall not exceed 500 square feet. JADUs will be required to have a deed restriction filed with the city and recorded with the county recorder. Setbacks for the ADUs. The ADUs must be 4 feet from the side and rear lot lines, a minimum of 4 feet, a minimum of 10 feet from the street side lot lines, minimum of 20 feet from the front lot line. No setback requirement is required for a legally established existing living space or accessory structure in the same location that is converted to an ADU. And setbacks between structures will be consistent with the adopted building and safety code. The utilities and impact fees for ADUs, it specifies that adequate roadways, public utilities, and services shall be available to serve the ADU. ADUs are not considered a new residential use for the purpose of calculating connection fees or capacity charges. Impact fees shall not be imposed on an ADU less than 750 square feet. Impact fees for ADUs greater than 750 square feet shall be charged proportionally in relation to the square footage of the primary dwelling unit. Mobile and manufactured homes are permitted if they are installed on permanent foundations and comply with the 1974 National Manufactured Housing Construction and Safety Act, and they must be 10 years old or newer and connected to public utilities. The off-street parking requirements for ADUs. 1 off-street parking space is required per ADU or bedroom, subject to exemptions. No off-street parking are required for junior ADUs. And when a garage, carport, or covered parking structure is demolished or construction or converted to an ADU, those off-street parking spaces are not required to be replaced. Owner occupancy standards is not required. Owner occupancy is not required for the primary dwelling unit or ADU for ADUs permitted and approved between January 2020 through January 2025. It is required for JADUs. The owner would have to reside in the JADU or the primary dwelling unit. Rental terms for the ADU shall be longer than 30 days, and ADUs shall not be sold or held under a different legal ownership than the primary residence, nor shall the lot containing the ADU be subdivided. The process and timing for ADUs, an ADU or JADU shall be ministerially approved if it meets the minimum standards of Section 556, which is part of this ordinance update, and the city must act on a building permit application to create an ADU or JADU within 60 days from the date that the city receives a completed application. General plan consistency. It is consistent with Objective A, allowing for the development of a wide range of residential housing types, and Policy 1A, providing for innovative designs, and Policy 4, manufactured and modular housing shall be permitted. And it is consistent with Objective B, promote stable, high-quality residential standards, and Policy 4 under that, ensuring a mixture of housing types throughout the community. Is also consistent with the 2016 housing element. Goal 1, housing and economic diversity, promoting the development of a range of housing types. And Goal 4, addressing the governmental constraints, working to streamline the permitting process and reducing the processing time for housing developments, as ADUs are required to be reviewed and approved within 60 days of the completed application for an ADU or JADU. On May 10th, 2022, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and voted 5-0 to recommend the City Council approve the draft ordinance. CEQA compliance, the proposed amendment is eligible for an exemption under the following classification of the California Environmental Quality Act, Article 5, Section 15061, the common sense exemption, which states that CEQA only applies to projects that have a potential for causing a direct physical change in the environment or a reasonably foreseeable indirect physical change in the environment. So staff recommends that the City Council approve zoning ordinance text amendment 2022-01 and conduct a public hearing and administer the first reading of the ordinance based on the findings contained in the attached ordinance. And that concludes the presentation. We're here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Council, do we have any questions or comments?
Yes, and just for verification, two things. One, this is to comply with state law, right?
Yes.
Okay. And two, are there any sections of this ordinance that is different from what it would be required to be consistent with state law? Is there something here that is not in state law?
No, all of
There is, everything's consistent with state law, no question. There is some definition relative to the use of a modular or manufactured home, and that it had to be 10 years or newer. That's really the only distinction. State law allows us to make those kinds of determinations, but everything else is pretty consistent with state law, almost verbatim.
No other questions for now.
Council, any other questions, comments? So we're going to go ahead and take it out for any public comment regarding this item. Oh, I'm going to open up the public hearing regarding this item number 9. Any comment? We have Diego coming up.
Diego Castillo, Livingston resident and local developer. I had a question for you. I was actually one of the first ones to submit an ADU before this was adopted. We had a little bit of a bottleneck with getting the approval from planning. So my question is, we have a few of these in the pipeline. If 60 days go by and we don't have an approval, is our plans considered approved, or do we need to get somebody involved?
The state law regulations were there, Diego, before this action. This action is an attempt, quite frankly, to clear up a lot of the inconsistencies with the existing city code. So this gives us a level playing field to evaluate all applications that come in. I don't know if there's a defined time frame. You're saying 60 days. The planning department acts on these as quickly as we possibly can. And I know Miguel has got a number of other larger projects that he's working on at the same time. So all I can say is that we're working on them as efficiently as we can.
No, I'm just saying because what you're adopting says that per current California code, it says that we have 60 days, or the city has 60 days to respond. So if 60 days transpire and we don't have a response, which I'm hoping that now that we have clear guidelines, that's not going to happen. But if, let's say that does happen, because I had a project that was stuck for over 90 days, then what's the what course are we to do? Do we get you involved? Do we get city management? Who is it? What do we do if that happens again?
Well, the course of action is always, and you know that it's an open door policy, right? So if there's issues relative to the processing delays, that you will and you have contacted the planning department and the city manager and anybody else that may need to be involved in the matter. But the reality is that we're going to get to them as quickly as we possibly can. Quite frankly, in some cases, the applications that are submitted need additional detail, and you should, by right, get some type of acknowledgement right away as to what additional information is needed for us to make the determination to process the application as it moves forward. But I guess what I could say is that, if you have an issue, let us know, and we can get to that as quickly as we can. Because time is of the essence. I realize that. You're working with a number of different clients and contractors. So.
And just in general, then what you're telling me is, okay, if I'm having an issue with the project, reach out to you in particular, or reach out to the manager, because my experience so far has been on several projects, and again, maybe we're going about this the wrong way, but I guess on some of the projects that require a little bit more of a review, I'm being told a typical time for approval is going to be somewhere between, or not approval, but for review to take it to planning commission, I'm being told 2 to 3 months, and then I'm being told maybe another 30 to 60 days before it gets to council. So you're talking a project before it gets here for approval, we're 5 to 6 months out.
So Diego, you're talking about a couple different things. An ADU and junior ADU is a ministerial type of project. It's fairly simple, doesn't require planning commission or city council action. When you talk about site plan review, that's the bottleneck that we're getting into. Current council code, current city code requires city council approval of any site development plan. So we are, in fact, one of the other ordinances that we're working on, in addition to cleaning up parking and setback standards and others, is dealing with this site plan review process and bringing it back to staff and planning commission review, and not mandated to go to city council unless the item is appealed. So the effort there will be to shorten the time frame associated with the review of those types of projects that do require site plan review and approval.
Okay. Yeah, that was a question, because
so that's the second wave. That's a second effort that the city manager instructed us to process, and that is going to be going to the commission in the next month. I mean, I think we're pretty close right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just happen to be the guinea pig for these, huh?
The process whereby site development permits are required to go to city council has been around forever. So you're not really the guinea pig in that regard, but it's obviously a process that not only is time consuming and costly, in a lot of cases unnecessary. So the effort that we're putting together right now is to try to streamline that process so it isn't as frustrating and doesn't take as much time.
Okay, yeah, and there is, like I said, there is, I guess, exceptions in the current municipal code that allows things to be expedited, but then it becomes a planning commission, I guess, opinion of what's considered significant or not. So I just hope that, and again, I'm just bringing these items because I like I mentioned to you before when you were here, we're working with developments between Merced and Modesto, so I can tell you how everybody else operates. And right now, I'm feeling like the projects, we have several projects here, they're bottlenecked because I think it's a difference of opinion, and like I said, our opinion from the current planner to the one we had previously is different. And I'm not saying that he was different in the sense that he was, let's say, doing favors or things that were off that were not allowed. The current municipal code, if you read it, has some flexibility. It's a matter of interpretation. So I think that's where we need to maybe get it, where it's more check the box type deal. It makes it easier. Yep. So whoever you have behind the desk and whoever's the applicant can be on the same page, and maybe the way your side of the desk reads it versus the way we read it. And based on our experience with other cities and jurisdictions, it's done a little differently. So I appreciate that you guys are going to clarify that or make it more streamlined.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Anybody on the phone? Okay, we're going to go ahead and public comment via email or mail.
I have an email from Catherine Shill Rodriguez. The comment states, words like accessory dwelling unit and junior accessory dwelling unit are fine for planners and other that speak legalese. Could you describe them in language the average person can relate to and picture in their minds?
I'll go ahead and answer that question. So an accessory dwelling unit is kind of the newer language that is being used now, but accessory dwelling unit just refers to any kind of secondary unit, such as a granny flat or anything that's additional to the single-family home. And then the accessory dwelling unit is defined as something that provides separate living, sanitary spaces. So it would have typically 1 to 2 bedrooms, a cooking facility, and a bathroom. And the junior accessory dwelling units is really a conversion of space within the single-family home. So oftentimes that's a conversion of a garage or maybe a living room. And that is turning it into kind of its own separate unit from the single-family dwelling unit. They're required to have its own separate entrance to the JADU. It can have access into the single-family home as well. And those are required to be 500 square feet or less. So it's really just a conversion of the existing single-family home into something that could perhaps be rented to someone or used as a family member or friend.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead.
My name is Jairo Aguilar. I'm a Livingston resident and a real estate agent in the area, and I think it's great. Finally, we got it streamlined because as I represent a lot of buyers and want to buy and invest in Livingston, a lot of the times they do ask me for a lot that you can build an ADU, or they have equity, they want to buy it, and I think it's great streamlining. I know with maybe Mr. Castillo's frustration with maybe the 60 days, but the thing is, whenever you're making an offer, and I'm just saying this so you guys can kind of understand why a lot of people may not know, but sometimes when you're making an offer, especially in the market where it's been very competitive, sometimes you don't have time to do due diligence for that long. So sometimes you need an answer. Usually standard is 17 days once you make an offer. In the competitive market, you have to reduce those days to 10 days. So you get your offer accepted, right, for this house that you think you might be able to put an ADU. You might have 10 days to say, hey, is this gonna work so I can build this ADU? So I just want you guys to understand where the frustration comes. You know, can you make a decision in 10 days? It's very difficult. So if you had like some guidelines where you can say, hey, you know what? Me as an agent or them as, you know, they're doing the due diligence, hey, I can see that, hey, based on this, I will meet the setbacks. You know, the probability is very likely that I'm going to meet these meet these setbacks. So it looks like it's going to be a good deal, you know. So I kind of just wanted to bring that up. And, you know, I'm hoping and I like that we're adapting just procedures, you know, for check boxes so we can streamline other, you know, other items in Livingston because I want to see growth. Since I'm here, I'm going to make another comment, but I had another client interested in building a cute coffee shop here in town, zoned commercial, you know, so there's a house for sale. He makes an offer, same thing, you know, he has 10 days to make an answer, calls the city and a couple things back and kind of gets back and forth, but doesn't wait a clear answer. So I just want you guys to understand that, hey, he only has certain time to determine if this is going to be possible. So if we can have some more streamlines or maybe a check boxes, I know there's things that have to get approved and, you know, not everything is, you know, black and white and clear, but at least kind of say, hey, you know what, based on these guidelines, you are going to be able to, you know, build that coffee shop or build the U. So I just wanted to say that so you guys understand the importance. And of course, things take time, but, you know, it's definitely an important matter. But thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. What happened with the coffee shop? Was he still interested or no?
We should be closing escrow maybe Friday, so we'll see.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Anyone on the phone?
Mayor and Council, I'll just briefly chime in that the purpose is to make it easier for developers or residential, you know, individual residences to get an ADU, and that's what we're trying to be consistent with.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council for any additional questions or comments and motions.
Go ahead. I was going to make a motion, but you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so streamline. I like that. I've been hearing that word for a long time, streamline, to make it easier for everyone. Question, and this is just for my educational purposes and probably somebody else watching out there. When is it that it requires to go to planning commission and when not? And then when is it that requires, obviously if it is required to go to planning commission, then it is required to go to council. When it is and when it's not.
So with the junior ADU units, they aren't required to do anything other than just get a building permit. Accessory dwelling units, generally speaking, don't require site development permits either. It's when you're building a new home or several new homes on a site where you have to go through the site development permit process. That's where, under current code, you have to go to the Planning Commission and to the City Council for ultimate determination.
Okay, so if you have a current home or building and you're remodeling or updating, you know, that, something like that, remodeling or updating, I have, you know, I don't know, I'm just thinking a farm home that was built 80 years ago. Normally, you know, new windows, new doors, and they're to be efficient for energy savings and stuff like that.
Right.
That is something that does not require to go to planning commission?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Unless they are changing the structure of that home.
Well, if it's a new house, for example, then there, depending on how many units on that site, would have to go through site plan review.
Okay.
Which would require city council approval under current code.
Okay.
This ADU ordinance, the way it's written by the state, I mean, if you had, I don't know, a detached garage, I mean, you could convert that, you technically could convert that detached garage to an accessory dwelling unit. You know, really all you're doing there is you're modifying the interior of it. You still have to meet the building code. That's probably the bigger issue, is you have to meet the building code standards. Yep. And it's even more specific that if the existing house, as an example, has fire sprinklers, residential fire sprinklers are now required for new homes, right? So if the existing house has residential fire sprinklers, then the ADU unit would also have to have residential fire sprinklers. Conversely, if the house was built before fire sprinklers were required, the accessory dwelling would not have to have residential fire sprinklers. So it really becomes more of a building code issue than a planning commission or city council item.
All right.
There are other projects, larger projects that Diego Castillo has been involved with that do require site plan review. And under the current process, the way it's structured, it has to go to planning commission and then ultimately to city council. And that's really, you know, that process that we're trying to streamline and make it much more simpler and less time consuming. Because I mean, Diego's correct. I mean, it takes a while to get through the process, to get it scheduled for the planning commission, and then to get it scheduled for city council. I mean, you could be looking at, you know, 90 to 120 days minimum by the time you meet all the legal requirements for notifications and getting it on the docket, either the planning commission or the city council.
Okay, so that actually, thank you for that. You bring me to my next question. Is that part of the process, or is that because we don't have, or should we have more staff working in those particular offices or departments that would help streamline projects?
So in some jurisdictions close to Livingston, site plan reviews are approved by staff unless appealed to the planning commission, which then in turn can be appealed to the city council. Again, the current code here requires those site plan approvals to be secured by the city council after they go through recommendation by the planning commission. There are depending on what the project is, there are some exceptions, but generally speaking, that's the process. And in other jurisdictions, it's handled by staff only. So what we're going to be bringing, again, that's not this item that we're talking about tonight. It's another item that we're going to be talking about in the future. But there is, we are going to be suggesting changes to that procedure whereby staff makes a recommendation to the planning commission on site development permits. And then the planning commission's action would stand unless appealed to the city council.
And then that would help streamline.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
That's the intent.
All right, and that's in the works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So thank you for the educational opportunity.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just real quick before we go for the motions, I think the goal of this council, last year was to address some of those concerns and mainstream and facilitate a better process for developers. I know obviously it takes time and in regards to coming up with a real good plan and procedure, but it sounds like we're headed towards the right direction. I think we all are big advocates of hopefully changing the way people look at us in regards to Livingston and making sure we're seen as a developer-friendly town. And I know, there has been some barriers for developers, but hopefully we're headed towards the right direction, and we could address all those concerns and make things easier for developers to come and do business here in town. I think we're all in agreement, and I'm looking forward to the item. I know you guys have been working on that, and that has been the direction of the council to develop those things. You have a motion?
I'm sorry, just I can almost promise this is the last question. Normally, in your office, what would be the expectation for an email to be responded to, whether it's by anyone? Is it normally 24 hours, 48, 72?
Generally speaking, Miguel is in city offices 3 days a week. So depending on when the email hits, we're fairly responsive. So it could be the same day, it could be the next day, generally speaking.
So he would only be able to respond if he is in the city and not?
Well, he's responding to things even when he's not at the city as well.
That's correct. We respond, or his, J.B. Anderson's office responds throughout the week.
We're working collectively on a number of large issues. You're talking about day-to-day emails that come in. The day-to-day emails that come in, Miguel handles those in course, and he's generally in the city 3 days a week to respond to those emails and generalized phone calls. As it relates to other larger projects that we're working on, Moon Glow Trucking is an example. I mean, we're all in the email group and we respond the same day. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Like I said earlier, looking forward to some of those items that mainstream the process and having a good relationship with our developers. Go ahead, Garcia.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilmember Jose Moran. Monica?
Roll call, Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you so much.
And then can I recommend at this time to move item number 12 up before any of the other?
Yes, sounds good.
Thank you.
Council, you guys okay with that? Yes, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to item number 12, which is this discussion and potential action item. This item is to approve employment agreement between the City of Livingston and Jennifer Reedman for the position of Finance Director. Vanessa?
Yes, Mayor and council members, it is with great pleasure that I introduce you Jennifer Reedman as the city's new Finance Director. Jennifer is the Director of Treasury at UC Merced, and Jennifer has vast experience in public finance for state and city agencies. She's been working at UC Merced since 2016. Jennifer holds a bachelor's degree in business administration. She's skilled in cash management, budgeting, accounting, and financial reporting. Jennifer, one of the qualities that it struck me from Jennifer is that in one of her stories in regards to doing a transition of the financial systems at UC Merced, she has taken the lead on training and writing all of the documents for this transition, and that to me really proves that she is not only a great leader and a manager, a supervisor, but she is a mentor, and it is a quality that I cherish from all of our leadership team, and it's definitely something that it will carry through our city, our staff, and it will blend so well with our team. So. With that, I want to welcome Jennifer to the City of Livingston. Council, I am available with any questions that you may have for me in regards to the employment agreement.
Thank you, Vanessa. First of all, welcome to the City of Livingston, Jennifer. We're very excited that you're joining our team. Looking forward to working with you. It sounds like you have, vast experience that will benefit the City of Livingston and the community. So very excited. I know Vanessa is going to appreciate having you on board and getting to work, I'm sure, right as you get there. Obviously, there had been a need for a finance director, and like I said, we're very excited and excited to be working with you, and welcome to the City of Livingston. In regards to questions, Council, for Vanessa regarding the contract, any questions, comments? Vanessa, Maria?
No questions. I mean, I think I had enough information provided, and we definitely need that help now that we're heading into budgets. Budgets are very important. Everybody hates budgets, but everybody likes budgets. They're necessary, and I appreciate your experience. And I mean, really, I don't have any questions other than just welcoming you, and thank you for making the decision to come and work in Livingston. It's a great community, and hopefully you can move here soon.
Council, any other comments? Questions?
I'd just like to also say welcome to the City of Livingston. We need somebody in this position, and It looks like you are well qualified, or overqualified, I should say, so with all your experience, so welcome.
I'd also like to welcome you with your experience and your leadership. So thank you for joining the team at Livingston.
Yeah, same here, thank you.
All right, we'll take it out for any public comment at this time. Any public comment? Anybody on the phone? No? Oh, go ahead.
I have an email from Catherine Schill Rodriguez.
Okay.
The comment states, who was the professional panel that interviewed the applicants for this position, and what training or experience did each have in the area of finance?
And Mayor and Council, I just wanted to answer that question. The professional panel was made up of finance professionals, and in this case, they were all finance directors from cities around the area.
Thank you, Vanessa. All right, bring it back to council. Motion.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Jose Moran.
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
Congratulations. Can we take a picture with you real quick?
So we're gonna take a 5-minute break?
We're gonna take a 2-hour recess at this time.
Oh, man, I wanted to stretch.
Thank you, everybody, for holding on. We're back to session. We're going to go ahead and move on to public hearing of item number 10. Resolution amend or approving the engineer's report for the Livingston Benefit Assessment District and levy and collection of annual assessments within such districts for fiscal year 2022-23 and confirming diagrams and assessments pursuant to the Benefit Assessment Act of 1992 and as provided by Article 13D of the California Constitution.
Yes, Mayor, council members, item number 10 and 11, they're both public hearings for our benefit assessment districts and our landscape and lighting maintenance assessment districts. Council, this is the annual process of the city that we are required to conduct a public hearing in order for us to be able to, for us, the city, to be able to levy this assessments into the property tax roll. So we have Wilden Financial Services here, Susana, that will be walking us through both of the items, 10 and 11, and we can do this public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, City Council, City staff, and members of the public that are with us telephonically. My name is Susana Hernandez. I am a Senior Project Manager at Wildan Financial Services, and I have joined to assist staff in presenting the actions to be taken by Council on today's agenda regarding the benefit assessment districts of the City of Livingston, and also the landscaping and lighting assessment district number 1. Along with the methodology in which the assessments were placed on the properties. There's a total of 18 benefit assessment districts consisting of residential property, and the levy and collection of the annual assessments is for the maintenance and operation of various drainage, detention basin, and street improvements within the benefit assessment districts. And as for the landscaping and lighting assessment district number 1, that one is levied onto 26 zones of benefit for residential and commercial properties. And the levy and collection of those assessments is for the maintenance of various lighting, landscaping, and park maintenance within the zones. So staff worked with Wildan Financial Services to assist in the preparation of the engineer's report, and the details of how the parcels are assigned into benefit zones and the rates for each district are included in the engineer's report. The total proposed assessment for the benefit assessment district that funds drainage, detention basins, and street improvements would be $190,000 for fiscal year 22-23. And for the landscaping and lighting assessment district number 1, which funds lighting, landscaping, and park maintenance, it would be $737,000 for fiscal year 22-23. On May 17th, 2022, City Council did adopt resolutions initiating the proceedings, declaring the intent to levy, and preliminary approving the engineer's report, and then setting the time and date for the public hearing for today. So now's the day for the public hearing, and this action requests City Council open the public hearing to receive testimony. There's one resolution for each of the districts before council this evening, and they are to approve the levy and collection of assessments for the City of Livingston. And upon conclusion of the public hearing, city staff recommends that council adopt such resolutions, approving the engineer's report and setting the annual levy of assessments for fiscal year 22-23. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. Council questions or comments regarding this item? So Tom, just okay, we're taking these two items separately, or okay. Council? Questions, comments? Correct. All right, we'll take it out to public comment at this time. Any public comment? Anybody on the phone? Anybody mail in anything? Monica? Delivered, faxed? Carrier? No? Okay. All right, we'll bring it back to council. Council, any questions or comments or anything else? So I'm gonna, there's no public comments. I'm closing the public hearing. Tom, real quick, so it's just a motion for approve that, okay. Motion, perfect. All right, council, comments, motions?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilmember Maria Soto. Monica?
Roll call, Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Councilmember King? Was that a yes? Yes. Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to item number 11, which is a resolution amending or approving the engineer's report for citywide consolidated landscape maintenance assessment District 1 and levy collection of annual assessments within such district for fiscal year 22-23 and confirming diagrams and assessments pursuant to provision of Part 2, Division 15 of the California Street and Highway Code and as provided by Article 13D of the California Constitution. So basically, council, any questions or comments? We'll take it out for any public comment. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Any public comment? Anybody on the phone? Monica, did we get any? Okay, so no responses. All right, bring it back to council. I'm closing the public hearing. Council, any motions or additional questions?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Maria Soto.
Roll call, Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you so much for your time. Sorry we held you here for this late, so thank you.
Thank you, Susanna.
You have a good day, or evening. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our last item, which is a discussion item. Discussion, direction of fireworks and training and travel adjustments. Vanessa?
Yes, Mayor. On our meeting on May 17, we brought the item forward for direction on a fireworks show for the city. And it was the consensus of the council that we look into bringing a fireworks show back this year in 2023. So we are bringing this item to council so we can get an approval on funding commitment, whether the council feels comfortable with a $15,000, a $20,000, $30,000 commitment for a display consistent with prior years. I know that the 4th of July Commission has been agreeable to take the lead on this project. And at this point, we're asking for council to provide us with direction. And also the commission will be putting the event together. They will be also doing fundraising to cover any expenses related to food and beverage outside of the fireworks display. I wanted to also share that this event, it is scheduled to be tentatively held on Sunday, July 3rd, 2022. And along with these items for this budget adjustment for the fireworks display, we also are bringing an item that is also related to a budget adjustment, but this is going to be for the training and travel accounts in the council budget. When we brought forward the budget in 2021-22 in June 2021, it was unforeseen due to the pandemic. What was the level of in-person meetings that were going to be taking place in 2021, in the remainder of 2021, and in any in 2022. However, we have seen an increase in in-person meetings, conferences, trainings, and so forth. So what we are asking, or what I am asking and recommending for the council, is to bring the travel and training budget up to the pre-pandemic levels, which was $15,000. So with that, I will take any questions, and I will get council's direction on the level of support that you would like to, one, fund the training and travel account, and two, the fireworks display for this year's event. And with that, also just wanted to share that we have identified savings within our department budgets, and we will be moving around monies or this savings in order to absorb any up to $45,000 of extra costs for the travel and training accounts and the fireworks display. So I will just, with that, need council direction.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for researching and looking into that, making sure that we're using our savings for such adjustments. First of all, in regards to the fireworks, I know people are excited. I mean, after a couple years of COVID, people want to, are excited to see a 4th of July fireworks display in town. I know I've touched bases, obviously, with the 4th of July committee myself, and we did come to an agreement that it'll be difficult to have the display on the actual 4th of July due to, other cities having displays. The company, I guess, also wouldn't be able to commit to the 4th. Which it actually works out, because I know we would be competing with like Atwater or Charlock, so and the 3rd is a Sunday and people have Monday off, so I think it's going to work out fine. Very grateful for Julio, Maria, everybody that works. They're going to work towards this and already starting to get the ball rolling on this display. I know, like you mentioned, there will be fundraising towards any entertainment or food or anything like that. That'll be something that we, myself, I'm committed to helping in regards to fundraising and all of that. I feel comfortable with, I know we stated before that like a $15,000 amount would be sufficient. I don't know if we want to shoot for up to $20,000 just to play it safe. That's something maybe that we could have a discussion about. In regards to travel and training, obviously, the budget when we adopted last year was due to COVID, and obviously those opportunities weren't there. But now that things are opening up, there's a lot of good training and conferences beneficial to the council, I would say. I know there's some interest from the council members to attend a few conferences, and I think those are good educational opportunities for council that could bring back important information to the city that could benefit the city. So I'm for adjusting that as well. Council, you guys have any other comments or questions?
No, I agree with the mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, well, just a question, just for clarification. We're looking at, last time the conversation was around 10,000 or 15,000. But also, let's see, now we're talking about 15 or 30,000, and then the city will cover overages above and beyond the sponsorships. What kind of expenses would that be? Just like I heard, entertainment or other things. Who's in charge of that? I mean, the entire committee to decide what to do, or because last time we talked about just having a display, and that was it. But then here I'm reading is, are we looking to cover additional expenses based on what they're what the committee is not able to cover.
So I think the direction last time or what was discussed was $15,000, if I recall correctly. I believe that was, yeah. And as far as I know, any entertainment or food or anything outside of a firework display will be up to the 4th of July committee and their fundraising efforts. So I don't think the city, be responsible for any other expenses besides the actual fireworks and the display.
Okay, so is that it?
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to share that my understanding is that council will be funding the fireworks show or the display only. Anything that it's outside, anything that takes place outside of the display, it would be fundraised by the commission.
Okay, yeah, so.
Maria, you want to say anything? No? Yeah, okay.
All right. So definitely, I think it would be a good idea to have something for the residents, something for the city. I would still feel comfortable with the 15,000 budget, as we mentioned last time, and how much more? I mean, just obviously the more budget. I mean, there'll be something to do with it. I mean, I'm sure if we offer, X amount of money to the vendor, obviously he's going to say, yeah, I'll take it, but would it make a big difference? And then I think that, having a show, a 15,000 show, and then plus whatever else the committee is able to put together will be a good, something good. And I'm sure that we can always find something else to invest those additional $5,000 on in the city that would benefit the residents as well. So I'm okay with the $15,000 budget for the fireworks, and then the other part of it of this item, definitely training opportunities is always good for everyone and for the city. That's it.
Council, any other comments? Yeah, anybody? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about the number 15,000, but if we could go up to 20,000, just to be on the safe side. I know it's been 2 years, and the residents are excited about it. I don't want to bring half of Livingston there for 10 minutes, so I think if we could do 20,000, I would appreciate that.
Maria?
With this being a real delicate, because we know this is city funds that would be being spent for this display. Again, I understand that the citizens do want this. Again, we're going to get what we pay for. So $15,000 show, and I realized that was my suggestion last time, so that we can get the discussion moving forward and to find out exactly what was within reason for budget. Again, I want to leave it to the rest of the council. I don't want to make this my decision, because I am on the inside working on this, and I want I would want to put forth what the city would like to see. And I realize that they may not understand how much goes into paying a company to do this, what the dynamics are, whether, how much time, because we could get $15,000 and make it a 20-minute show, but you're going to get a firework here, you're going to get a firework there, and it's just going to spread it out. And we don't want that. We want a good show, and that means putting money into it. Now, again, it is the city's money that is going to be footing the bill, but that doesn't mean that on our side, we're not going to be working to offset some of the costs that by soliciting for sponsorships, donations, and whatnot, and and we are way less than a month away to organizing fundraising, but we can do that, so that we want to be able to show the community that, you know, that we're still behind this, and if anybody would like to help us organize some type of a fundraising effort, that would be greatly appreciated. But again, what money that was allocated or was suggested here, I know that, you know, we want to go crazy and spend it all, but I would go with whatever was recommended by the rest of the council. I mean, it's appreciated, and again, I want the city to enjoy a great display this year. We know that there's going to be one coming up, and city council did put money into that so that the Centennial could have a fireworks show as well. But this is our Independence Day, and it's always, I don't want to say it's always, but it has been celebrated in this fashion with the biggest fireworks show in the valley for at least, I don't know, 2000,
Yes.
since 2011. So again, I don't want to say how much money that I would suggest, but I would appreciate what council would want to spend this year.
Thank you. I think there's a commitment to, like you said, even beyond the entertainment and food and all that. I think there's some commitment, or at least there'll be an attempt to recoup some of those money that the city will use towards fireworks. I know having conversations, I think that's a commitment, and we will try our best to offset some of those costs. So I feel comfortable going up to 20,000, but no more than that. Of course, shooting to getting a good show with less, and trying to obviously offset with fundraising and sponsorship and donations. And I know that with efforts that everybody pitches in and there's people helping, there could be a potentially offsetting of those funds, like we've done in the past years. So I feel comfortable with up to $20,000. You're okay with that? Okay. You're okay with that? Yes. All right. You got correction, Vanessa?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then for the education and training, I know that it was up to 15. You said $15,000.
Yes, that is the pre-pandemic. That's the 2019-2020 budget
Okay.
amount.
Perfect. Are you guys okay with that? You guys are in agreement with that? Everybody? Yes? Okay, perfect. So is that okay, Vanessa? You're good?
Yes, that is okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to, that's it, right? I think that is all. I know we have, we'll go ahead and do the future agenda items. I know obviously we talked about a few things today that will be coming back to council. And I think staff have been given good direction on some of these things. We're looking forward to working closely with city staff to get that stuff done. In regards to our closed session, before we close, I know Mayor Pro Tem Garcia had to leave, and he's requested or asked if we could move this evaluations to the next council meeting or a special meeting. So, council, are you guys okay with that?
I'm okay with that. But I do have a question for legal. Will those evaluations, being evaluations, do they have to be during regular?
No.
Or it can be special?
It can be anytime, yes.
Okay. Just want to double check things.
Yes.
The rest of the council, what do you guys think? Are you guys okay with moving it to a day where Mayor Pro Tem Garcia is able to participate? Yes.
I'm okay with a regular meeting, but not a special meeting.
Yeah, I'm also in agreement with that. Regular council meeting.
If I can add something else.
Yes.
To see if those two items can be moved to the next meeting, but to make sure that everybody can make it, whether it's before or after the regular meeting. That way we're not in this situation again. Just because it might have been, well, anyways, I mean, things happen, but I'm okay.
Yeah, he's requested this for the next council meeting or a special meeting. So he's he left me a note. He's committed to participating in the next council meeting. He had an emergency situation for tomorrow, so he had to leave. So I think everybody's in agreement with just moving into the next council meeting, regular meeting. I think we're all in agreement. We don't want no special meeting for this. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 9:56 p.m. Thank you, everybody.